One thing I cannot stand is a hypocrite. You know, this is a little bit different than what I normally do. Well, I guess I've done pastors before. You know, I've talked about pastors, men, women, different races. We've talked about the Catholic Church, Baptist Church, Christian Church, just church in general. This is why I also believe that you got to be careful of just sending your kids to just anywhere and everywhere, especially camps and things like that. Don't just trust your kids just because the church is an institution that should be trusted. I'm telling you, watch your babies because you got idiots like this out there. But before we get into the details, warning, my content you might find offensive or controversial. Viewer discretion is advised. Pause it, read it. That is your official disclaimer. I'm getting this from phillyda.org. So it's a short article, but I got a lot to say about this. I'll try to keep it short though. Philadelphia. The Philadelphia District Attorney Larry Krasner at the DAO's Family Violence and Sexual Assault Unit, FVSA, I can't say that, announced charges on Tuesday against two local pastors. They call them clergy members. Look, we know what a damn pastor is, right? Can anybody in the chat attest that you guys have been to church before? I have. I grew up in the church. This is extremely disturbing to me. So clergy members, aka pastors, for their alleged roles in sexual abuse and exploitation against minors in Philadelphia. So the Philadelphia District Attorney's Office charged, let me see, can I get their names up on the screen so you can know which pedo is which? Here we go. Brian Jackson, date of birth, February 20th of 1984 on the left-hand side. So he is a year younger than me. And then you have the other fool over there on the right-hand side. That is Isaiah Banks. February 2nd is his birthday, 1996. With the following. So defendant Brian Jackson on the left-hand side is charged with criminal conspiracy, 2 counts. Let me see. Sexual abuse of children, 2 counts. Sexual exploitation of children, 2 counts. Can we get a hashtag? We hate pedos. We hate pedophiles in the chat. That'd be awesome. Unlawful contact with a minor, 2 counts. Criminal use of communication facility, 2 counts, and other related charges. The other idiot over here, this guy, fat face. Isaiah Banks, criminal conspiracy, 2 counts. Sexual abuse of children, 2 counts. Sexual exploitation of children, 2 counts. Corruption of minors, 2 counts. Unlawful contact with a minor, 2 counts. Criminal use of a communication facility, 2 counts, and other related charges. So on April 8th of 2026, so this wasn't that long ago, Philadelphia police began investigating a report from the Department of Human Services, DHS, in reference to a minor who was solicited by the defendant Isaiah Banks, who is this pussy right here, right? Through iMessages and social media. Thank you for Flow State. I don't know what that is. That's really cool. Thank you, whoever just sent that. Whoever did that, thank you in the chat. Tiffany Copeland, I see you. Thank you. Sent messages through iMessage and social media to send sexually explicit videos in exchange for money or food. How ironic is that? The fact that you have these people who look like they have never missed a meal ever would be doing something like this in exchange for money and food. Sounds about right. After the victim was interviewed by the Philadelphia Children's Alliance, the messages sent from the victim to Banks were determined to be sexual in nature and included requests for pornographic videos. The messages were initially revealed after a witness conducted a random check on the victim's phone. The witness then notified a therapist who was a mandated reporter and notified DHS. Further investigation revealed that Banks was sending these images to the second defendant, Brian Jackson. Birds of a feather flock together, and I want y'all to remember, this is the biggest form of hypocrisy. What do they call this? Blasphemy? Is that not what this is? Is this not blasphemy? To be up there allegedly preaching the holy word of God. Like, it just makes me very uncomfortable to think that these are the same people supposed to tell you how important religion is. This is what I call Bible thumpers. Have you ever heard me say Bible thumpers before? And what I mean by that is people who thump the Bible, want to put it all up in your face and talk all of this good stuff, but they do not live by it. They don't believe it. They don't live it in their actions. So it's like they want to use it as a shield for themselves and use it as a tool against other people, to condemn people, whether it be to manipulate money to get donations, whether it be to fund their lifestyle, whatever it is, but it is definitely not doing the work of God. That's for sure. Blasphemy. What was the other term that I used? Hypocrisy. That's terrible. No babies deserve this. Someone needs to put them under the jail 6 feet below it. I agree. Because this is lower than a bow-legged caterpillar, this type of behavior. Like, you just have to be a shit person, like, in order to go through, what do they call that? Like when you go through church training, what is it, monastery or something like that? You have to go through all of this training and learn that book, learn that word. You have to be ordained as a minister. I think you might have to go to school or college for it. You go through all of that just to literally go against everything that you preach. You just can't be that damn dumb. That damn nasty. And look, and I'm going to just tell you guys, like, do y'all believe in forgiveness? Because I do, right? If a man were to punch me in the stomach, in time, my stomach will heal. If a man were to give me a bad haircut, in time, my patch in my head will grow back. If a man were to stealeth my clothing or my jewelry, that man can replace what he stole. But if you take the innocence of a baby, of a child, of a minor, and you work in the church, and you allegedly work for God, and you allegedly work for the people, and people put their trust in you, and you're an authority figure, is that a forgivable thing? If you ask me, there are certain things in this world that are not forgivable, and abusing, misusing, and abusing children is one of those things in my book. In my humble opinion, I think that should give you a fast track to hell. This is like automatic, you know what? Just skip the judge and jury, go straight to hell. Who said that in the chat? I know somebody said it. Thank you, Marie. I see you. This should be a straight to hell card, right? These are the worst type of individuals. But let's keep going though. So he was sending these images to Brian Jackson because, I'm assuming that they were both in collusion with this, who posed as a female to get images and videos directly from the victim. Wow. Wait a minute. Whoa, wait a minute. Maybe I didn't read this right, because when I read it the first time, I thought, okay, maybe I was tripping. Let me read this again. Further investigation reveals that Banks was sending these images to the second defendant, Brian Jackson, who was posed as a female to get images and videos directly from the victim. What does that sound like to y'all? Who does it sound like the victim was? Y'all ever heard of Sodom and Gomorrah? Anybody? You said send them straight to the lake of fire. I agree. Wood chipper? Hey, I wouldn't be against it. Y'all ever heard of that? If you didn't catch it, it sounds like they were getting videos. What's up, Miss Elaney? It sounds like they were getting videos from and pictures from boys. Yep. Rainbow community, stand up. Rainbow community needs to stand up and castigate people like this. I actually had a story that I was going to talk about that was going to bring that whole subject back into focus again, but I digress. You know, if we get back to it, we'll get back to it. But nonetheless, this sounds like they were getting this from boys. Forensic evidence from Banks' phone revealed that he received a sexually explicit image of the victim by way of his phone in January 2026 from Jackson. Text messages exchanged between both defendants, because why would he pose as a woman? Do y'all see what I'm saying? Forensic evidence from Banks' phone revealed that he received sexually explicit images of the victim by way of his phone in January 2026 from Jackson. Text messages exchanged between both defendants in January show both men conspiring over sexually explicit photos. Again, so they were talking. Further investigation revealed that both Banks and Jackson obtained sexually explicit images and videos from multiple victims. And I want to say that it might have included some boys or a boy, a male victim, assuming. Contact between Banks and Jackson date back to February 2024 with message exchanges littered with images and videos of nude minors with plans to solicit further images. So they were using the church. To do this. Both Banks and Jackson have been arrested, charged, arraigned, and are awaiting a preliminary hearing. Banks' bail was set at $600,000 and Jackson's bail was set at $100,000. The Commonwealth requested an increased bail for defendant Jackson and was denied by Honorable Cortez Patton. Both have posted bail and are currently out of custody. So, you know, if you set a high amount of bail, that they get out, then they get out. It is what it is. The predatory sexual abuse committed by both clergy members is an egregious abuse of their positions of trust in the community, like I said earlier, said DA Larry Krasner. While these defendants are not representative of the countless clergy members who serve with fidelity, these crimes are especially troubling given their access to young people. Like I said, these survivors deserve compassion, support, and justice. Our office encourages anyone who believes they may have been victimized to contact local law enforcement or victim services so they can access the resources and assistance available to them. The Family Violence and Sexual Assault Unit at the Philly DA's office is a specialty unit dedicated to the prosecution of intimate partner violence, physical abuse, child neglect, pornography, exploitation, human trafficking, and other crimes. I guess I can skip some of that. Yeah, if you believe you've been a victim, you can call them 215-686-5709. They got information there at phillyda.org. That's where you can find that information. Let's get into the news videos real quick. So the fair usage, and I actually have a new fair usage person that is reading for me, but I will get her on here at a later point. I wasn't able to do it this time. So fair usage under 17 USC 107. Let's get it.
Shock and disgust, meantime, as prosecutors announced felony child sex abuse charges against two North Philadelphia pastors. Both men are free on bail right now, but their legal troubles could just be starting. Our Joe Holden is live at the district attorney's office with more on what he's learning about this case so far. Joe.
Natasha, quite the disturbing case. Two pastors accused of conspiring with each other to obtain video and images of child pornography. Tonight, prosecutors warning there could be more victims. A poster hangs outside Garden of Prayer World Prayer Center with an image of senior pastor Brian Jackson. The North Philadelphia church's leader has since been charged with sexual exploitation and abuse of children, conspiracy, and corruption of minors. Jackson and a second pastor, Isaiah Banks of Second Pilgrim Baptist Church, who's facing similar child sex abuse charges, are both accused of soliciting sexually explicit videos of minors in exchange for money or food.
Mr. Banks groomed more than one minor in the community to produce child pornography and then provided that pornography to Mr. Jackson, who also directly communicated with these children for the purpose of getting more videos and photos.
Prosecutors say Banks recently resigned from his role at the church in a hurry. A woman who answered the church phone had no comment. No one answered at Jackson's house of worship. Arrest papers allege the two pastors texted and messaged back and forth about soliciting images of child pornography as far back as 2024. Jackson is accused of posing as a female in text messages to obtain photos and videos from his accuser. Prosecutors said about soliciting accused of posing as 2024. Jackson is accused of posing as a female in text messages to obtain photos and videos from his accuser. Jackson is accused of posing as a female in text messages to obtain photos and videos from his accuser.
Now, doesn't that sound like they're referring to boys? Based on what y'all just heard. Or am I tripping? Am I wrong? And you know what? I got to tell y'all, like, y'all start to see these new age pastors. Like, have y'all ever noticed? Like I say, it's not all, but a lot of them make folks look bad. Like they be super clean cut, these really, really sharp haircuts. They look like they making a lot of money. They spend a lot of money on their looks and wardrobe, and like they look like, like they look like $500,000. Like they look like they, really are making a lot of money. And these really, really flashy pastors, and I know it's not all of them, but it makes me question, like it's like a look of them. Like you could just look at this dude and like, he's a weirdo. I could be tripping, but like I said, I tend to judge a book by its cover unless I have something else to go on. I mean, it's okay to judge a book by its cover because like I said, I just think we just need to use more caution. If you ask me, he just looks like a weirdo. If you're talking about you're posing as a woman, then that sounds like you're trying to solicit from a boy. Yep. JD, baby, I wasn't going to say it, but that's exactly where I was going. Thank you for typing that in the chat.
Prosecutors said about there being possibly more victims.
There is more than one, but this is a very active investigation, and it will become clear, I would say, in the next couple of months.
Okay, so since you brought it up, Janie, baby, y'all can see what she typed in the chat. Let me tell you guys why I'm saying what I'm saying. And the reason why I believe, and this is actually, I was actually going to talk about this teacher, and I don't remember who sent it to me, but shout out to y'all. Somebody sent it to me in my email. I'm going to do it on the next live stream. I'm going to talk about it on the next live stream. But it was basically a gay dude, a very, very flamboyant gay guy. And, he was doing all of this great work in the community and blah, blah, blah. And next thing you know, it popped up that he had a lot of child underage victims. They are going to throw the whole book at this dude and put him under the jail. That's how bad it is. And you would have to ask, and matter of fact, I think it actually included babies, if I'm not mistaken. Like, I might have to go and look that up. Why am I bringing this up? How does it relate to this? Because that this man is doing pedophilic, from what we understand in age. I don't know the age specifically, but we're going to assume that it's under 13 years of age. But he's doing pedophilic behavior with boys. Okay? So that would make him, by proxy, LGTB. Because LGTB is based on an action. Would anybody disagree with that? You cannot be LGTB without activity. Because here's the cold part about it. And I don't know if y'all have ever heard anybody explain it this way. I can be black without doing anything. You can be your race without doing anything. And that's why I always found it real funny how LGTB tries to say that they're a race, but you can't be LGTB without doing an action. Everybody catch that? An abominable action. And to say that, and it should be in the minority, because if everybody did it, if it were in the majority, we would cease to exist. And that actually proves that this is not a normal, natural thing, because we would not exist. So in order for them to exist, and I've said this before, and I'm trying to be as nice as I possibly can when I say this, because it's relevant to the story, because this is exactly what this man was doing. You cannot have LGTB unless these kids are manipulated into becoming that. You were not born that. Hello. I know somebody I'm going to be right back on shadow ban. Watch. I'm going to be right back to 30, 40 people watching my chat. Watch. I don't think I'm going to ever see 6, 7, 800 people in my chat ever again. Just for telling the truth. Just for keeping it real. Just for kicking up a little dust that's actually righteous dust. They would not exist if not for actions. Therefore, a woman cannot be LGTB unless she engages with another woman. Mostly, or I guess you could look at it in a sexual way. I guess you could say sexual because women, it's more mental than it is sexual. But with guys, a guy doesn't become gay unless he does something gay with another male. Now he becomes LGTB. And it damn sure ain't a race, because here's the cold part about it. If a person goes back to being straight, if a person goes back to being heterosexual, then they are no longer LGTB. That ain't how race works. You are born what you are born. So with this thing of being LGTB, if you can go back and forth based on what you choose to do, if you decide to wake up and wear a dress and date somebody of the same sex or whatever the case is, then that would classify you as that. The second that you stop doing that, you see what I'm saying? Now you are not that anymore. They switch back. Thank you. That is either you are or you're not. That's the way I believe that life is. Either you are or you're not. Either you're a good person or you're not. Either you're a smart person or you're not. You're either a girl or a boy. You're either going to go to heaven or you're going to go to hell. You're either blasphemous or you're not. So again, this sounds like this falls on the LGBT community because he was soliciting a boy. He basically tricked a boy into sending suggestive photos, from what I understand, based on what they just said. Because why else would he pretend to be a woman? And that turns both of these dudes on. So them doing this type of stuff to these boys, we don't just stop at pictures and videos. You know, they actually want to engage with these kids. And once they start engaging with these kids, it messes them up. And then next thing you know, you have now bred more people like that, like-minded people into your community, because you want to make more people think it's okay to become that way, which is why they wanted to start having these kids, these drag queens reading to your kids at school. You know what I'm saying? You know, like parading kids around, you know, these wild parades and things like that, going to drag shows and things. Why would they put sexuality in front of kids? What do little kids, elementary and middle school, need to know about sexuality for? They don't. They don't need to know anything about sex or sexuality at a young age like that. So again, you're trying to convert a mentality, because if you don't, then there's a good likelihood that nature is telling you that your population is not going to grow. And your population only grows based on if people act on it. I don't think there's nothing wrong with what I just said. So let's keep going.
How many more than one?
So we've reached out to an attorney listed on court records for one of the pastors. We are waiting to hear back. We are searching for the attorney who might represent that second pastor, though court records do not reveal a name just yet. As you heard, prosecutors believing there could be more victims. We want you to take a look at your screen. There is the number for Philadelphia Police Special Victims Unit. It is 215-685-3251. We're live outside the Philadelphia DA's office. Joe Holden, CBS News, Philadelphia.
Joe, thank you as always for your reporting. Two local clergy members facing charges today for their alleged roles in sexual abuse and exploitation against minors. And Shayna, what investigators discovered goes back years.
That's exactly right. Certainly some disturbing news coming out of the district attorney's office. Two North Philadelphia pastors were arrested, arraigned, and are now out on bail, facing a number of charges, including child sexual abuse and exploitation of minors.
These allegations are profoundly disturbing, not only because of the alleged harm inflicted on children, but because they represent a violation of trust within spaces that are meant to be safe.
Disturbing allegations surfacing against two North Philadelphia pastors who now face a slew of charges in connection to the sexual abuse of minors. Pastor Brian Jackson, pictured on the left, and Pastor Isaiah Banks, pictured on the right. Jackson currently serves as the senior pastor of Garden of Prayer, seen here in a recent church revival flyer, while Banks officially stepped down from his pastoral duties at Second Pilgrim Baptist Church. Banks had been the senior pastor of the church since 2017.
The alleged facts are that over several years, Mr. Banks groomed more than one minor in the community to produce child pornography and then provided that pornography to Mr. Jackson, who also directly communicated with these children for the purpose of getting more videos and photos of that type.
Philadelphia police began investigating in early April when a witness discovered inappropriate messages on a minor's phone and notified a therapist, who then reported the matter to the Department of Human Services. Investigators say Banks allegedly solicited a minor to send sexually explicit videos in exchange for money or food. According to the district attorney's office, forensic evidence revealed that Banks and Jackson conspired together to obtain explicit images from multiple minors. Investigators later finding that Banks sent images to Jackson, who posed as a woman, to solicit content directly from the victim, in addition to other evidence of ongoing efforts for further solicitation.
When you have people caught on their cell phones, when you have the text back and forth, when you have the electronic communication, and in this case, the photographs that are themselves criminal in nature, it means the case is so much stronger.
The Second Pilgrim Baptist Church releasing this statement on the charges against former pastor Isaiah Banks, saying, in part, quote, "We are deeply shocked and saddened by these developments, as the safety and well-being of our congregation and the broader community are our highest priority." Requests for comment by Pastor Jackson at the Garden of Prayer Church were unsuccessful. Meanwhile, back at the DA's office, investigators say more charges could be forthcoming.
The message that should come from this is that people are going to be accountable, no matter where they are on some hierarchy or some pyramid of status. They're going to be accountable, including faith leaders.
Now, the DA couldn't get into the specifics of the victims. All he was able to share was that there are more than just one victim in this case, and he couldn't get into the specific genders either. But both of those defendants have posted bail back out in the community. They will be having preliminary hearings later this summer.
So again, like I said, from the little bit of information that we had from this, it sounds like I said, at least some of this had to do with some boys, probably some girls too. But I would just wonder, like what is in your heart? Because this is truly what's in these men's heart, because this is not an accidental thing. This is not a slip up. This is who they are. This is the nature of who they truly are. You've been exposed. You've been caught. I don't think this is a thing. And I've said this before. A mentality like this that can take advantage of babies, that can take advantage of kids, that mentality cannot be fixed. It just needs to be punished. And I like the fact that more and more of these people are being exposed, so as we can catch more, as technology catches up, that's great. Matter of fact, let me put that advertisement up here, because I want y'all to see this, because they put up some really sophisticated advertising. Want y'all to take a look at this. I mean, this looks like your typical church flyer, maybe even a step above that. And these people are advertising themselves as the truth. They are the ones. They are the people that you should look up to and follow. And they just don't represent that in any shape, form, or fashion. This is not a mistake. This is just an absolute abomination. And people like this shouldn't exist in our society. And people like this should never be given another opportunity to get out of prison. This type of thing should be a life sentence in prison. Let me know what y'all think about that. Do y'all think that this should constitute a life sentence in prison when you mess with kids, when you mess with underage kids? I do, especially when you're soliciting it and probably putting that out there on the black web, maybe even selling it and trying to create more of this confusion in our babies when all they should be really learning is being in school, learning how to add, subtract, divide, all the stuff, learning how to read. Good Lord, do you know how many kids can't read? It's really sad. So again, I think something like this should constitute a life sentence. Keep those kids in your prayers, in your true prayers. This is, like I said, man, this is why I'm very, very cautious about just going to church and just listening to people. And I damn sure don't just follow just any pastors. I'm real cautious about that. Like I said, I've actually ran Christian camps or been a part of Christian camps and stuff like that. But to truly give my service and my heart to kids to try to help them become something great, I actually have a situation where one of my campers, when he grew up, and you could actually look him up. I don't know if I want to put his information out there, but I know you can look him up. Him and his wife are accountants. And when they got married and before they actually finished school with their master's degrees, he reached out to me and had me DJ his wedding. I was his wedding DJ, a kid that I counseled. I always would tell that story. Such an amazing story, and he's doing really, really great. So that's just one of those really good stories that I could say that I played a small part, a very, very small part in producing something great. So shout out to him and shout out to his family. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. This was story number 1. So you were asking, is this the first story? Yes, it was. I'm sorry. I just had a whole lot to say. Are y'all ready for story number 2? Boy, I know anybody that supports LGTB, boy, I know y'all hate when I be going in. But guess what? I have to. Okay? Now, I know this is something you guys were not expecting. When was the last time we talked about the violence that's going on in Chicago? Does anybody remember how long it's been? I think it's been a long time. But it was happening so often, I could literally do videos about the violence that's going on in Chicago. Every day I actually know some content creators, some YouTubers, some really popular folks that were able to make a career literally off of just the violence and beef alone in Chicago. So I'm not going to say any names, but some of y'all know who I'm talking. Maybe you might know who I'm talking about. Y'all do me a favor. If y'all can, please hit that thumbs up. I'm getting ready to unload on Chicago. No pun intended. That sounded crazy. Let me rephrase that. I'm getting ready to give Chicago another dose of what it deserves. Absolutely deserves it. I support our future, and that's the kids. All kids need protection from parents and people, not that preacher BS. I agree. Who's that? Nicole Reviews WWF. It's sad what's going on out here. Let me see if I can how to pronounce your name properly. So shout out to Simone. Yes, this is the first story. So who is that? This is Nicholas. Is it Nicholas Reviews? Okay, shout out to you. I see you in the building. Thank you for pulling up. Anybody else? What's up on Hyphenated? Anybody else? If I missed y'all, make sure to type something in the chat. Hit that thumbs up. Let me go ahead and give out some. Do I have any channel memberships to give out? I do. I'm going to give them out if you're here. 5 people are going to get 5 free channel memberships for 30 days. All I ask is that when it renews, just pay for 1 month. Okay? You're from Chicago? Oh, man. Simone, tell them what's going on out there, please. I might have to have you call in on this one. What's going on out there? Tell them in the chat. Tell them how it really is. Because people try to make it seem like, oh, it's only certain little areas. Well, damn, I mean, how many people can get shot and die in one area? Or in one little bitty area, but you got 30, 40, 50 people getting shot at a time. And this is even before you even get to the 4th of July. Because you know it's going to be about 113 people that's going to get shot. That is a day you just don't even come outside. Get in your bomb shelter. Hell, that might not even be safe. Boy, boy, boy. All I got to say about that is, man, oh man. I know some people hate for me to crap on Chicago, but I got to do it. Sorry, I got to do this story. Y'all hit that thumbs up. You see a couple more people showed up. Let's at least get 100 thumbs up if we can. So thank you to Baby Kisses. You are now a channel member. Tanea, you are also. Janie Baby, Unhyphenated, and Starburst Web. Whenever it ends, just renew it for 1 month. Just renew it for 1 month. You are more than welcome. Let's talk about this. I didn't even realize how many people had done videos on the violence that was going on in Chicago. Because to be honest with you, I've talked to some people and they're just like, well, I had no idea what was going on out there. And that doesn't surprise me because it hasn't hit my news feeds in a while until I said, you know what? Let me look because Juneteenth just passed. And I said, I actually was in Oklahoma City. There was a bunch of large gatherings. I'll tell you about that here in a minute. And you know what? It wasn't a whole lot of BS going on. Matter of fact, I could at least attest that at 2 very large events, which could stand the potential of something happening, nothing happened. It actually went off without a hitch. Nobody got shot, no violence, no fights, no nothing. And it just made me think of Chicago in some type of way. I looked up in the news and found this ridiculousness. So before we get into the details, I want to warn you that if you are sensitive, that this content might contain some material that may be harmful or traumatizing as far as information. So viewer discretion is advised. That is your official disclaimer. If you don't like my content, I might be offensive or controversial. Viewer discretion is advised. What's up, Mommy of 3 in the building? I see you. What it do? So I'm getting this from pbs.org. Yes, that PBS. And we're going to talk about that individual here in a minute. That is a crazy, crazy guy. So Chicago, a spate of shootings in Chicago has led to, I believe it's up to like 40 now. There's at least 40 victims and 8 deaths since Friday evening, police say, prompting the president to renew his call for military intervention in the nation's 3rd largest city. And we can actually debate that if somebody wants to debate whether that's right or wrong. Let me ask y'all this. Y'all know what the hell going on in Chicago. It is basically a bunch of black on black crime. Okay? It is YNs killing YNs and civilians. Whether people like the president or not, he is effective at what he does. I know for sure in DC, the crime dropped to little to almost nothing. It's not impossible. It's not possible to make it completely, absolutely nothing. I know he had days where there were good days where nothing really did happen, but it's next to impossible to do that. But you can at least decrease how much of this BS is going on and how much people are just getting away with it. My question to you guys who are listening to the sound of my voice in this video, is it time for Chicago to about face from listening to the democratic system, the leftists, and telling them, no, we got it, we're going to figure it out, and all we need is community centers, and these kids need jobs, and all we need to do is march some more, and community activists? Is that what we're going to continue to keep rolling with? It's okay, because it only affects really one group, majority. One race, one group, majority. And I'm wondering, are y'all going to continue to keep sitting on that message? Are you going to keep continuing to sitting on that powder keg until it eventually explodes and blows your ass up? Guns, based on the law out there, it's basically very difficult to own guns or to get guns as a law-abiding citizen. So we could talk about the difference between Texas and Chicago. Definitely can talk about that. Because in Oklahoma, You don't even have to have a license anymore. In Texas, we truly believe in our Second Amendment rights to bear arms. It's in the Constitution. In Chicago and other places, I think Chicago, New York, I think maybe even California and other places, they make it very difficult for law-abiding citizens to own and obtain weapons. But if these people are already abiding by the law and they're following the fucking rules, then why would you make it hard for people following the damn rules to be able to uphold their Second Amendment rights? That's not even the people that are out here shooting 40 fucking people in a weekend. It's the people who are not following the laws. I never will understand, and I would love to hear a Democrat explain the logic to me. How you can tell me that a person who's not committing the crime gets all the penalties of the law, but the person who's committing the crime skirts the law and has zero to little accountability. And I think they said up to the tune of about 60 to 70% of these shootings that happen, they get away with it. They're never found, they're never charged. They usually only get charged until they've done the shit so much and they slip up and somebody gets lucky. That never made sense to me. So if the way that you're going is not working, why would you be so damn gung-ho about continuing to keep going that direction? What you're doing is not working. So why not try something different? But you know what? It's almost kind of like what do they call that? Doing something constantly and expecting a different result. What do they call that? You keep doing something that's not working, but you keep expecting a different result. What do you call that? Why isn't Governor Pritzker calling me for help? This, according to the president, I believe. I could make Chicago a safe city in 1 month. In 1 year, it would be one of the safest, President Trump said in a Sunday morning Truth Social post. The office of Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, a potential 2028 Democratic presidential contender. Oh, I'd love to see him run too. You know what? But maybe I don't, because they actually got my dummy voted in up in New York, and you see how well that's going. You about to make their taxes go to the goddamn roof. So maybe I don't want to actually see these dummies actually run, but because it's gonna be people that vote for them. That's the scary thing about it. People actually would put these fools, these idiots. You said that's insanity. Thank you. Insanity is doing something. Let me read what the actual definition of it is, so I can be right about this. Colloquially, it is used to describe extreme unreasonableness or repetitive, self-defeating pattern of behavior. What up, Mama Mia? What up, Kenneth? What up, y'all? Delusions of grandeur. Man. God, it just like seems like we just living in the twilight zone sometimes. Like it just don't even seem real. But he is a 2028 Democratic presidential contender who has repeatedly rebuffed Trump's calls for a military intervention. Did not immediately respond to a request for comment. And I'm gonna tell y'all, did y'all remember the video that I did with the lady out of Chicago that lost her grandson? And I did the interview with the mother who lost her son in Chicago. And they said, you know what? If it would make things better here, go ahead and bring on the troops. And it's sad because they're one small voice and not a lot of people are echoing those sentiments. Nobody else is saying that. It's like one or two people against what? 10, 20, 30,000? Like not why I don't understand why everybody's not getting on board with that. When it would actually make everybody else safe. But I guess here's the funny part about it. because I actually heard this guy that was on Stephen A. Smith's video earlier. So shout out to Stephen A. Smith. And he was basically saying that the reason why they don't want intervention from the government is because that it would interfere with their what am I trying to say? Almost like it would interfere with their rights. Their right to live, their right to go places, their right to do things as they see fit. And I'm just like, you know what? You're only talking about doing this in places that have a clear and present problem. There is no place like Chicago outside of like y'all remember when New Orleans used to be the murder capital of the world? That's basically Chicago now. What other places are bad like that? Under Trump, National Guard troops have been deployed on crime-fighting missions in Democratic-led cities, including New Orleans, Washington, D.C., and Memphis, Tennessee. While Chicago Police Department data shows a slight uptick in shooting incidents compared to the first half of last year, violent crime rates have generally dropped in the city over the past few years in parallel with national trends. But I'm going to tell y'all, even that's a lie because they're cooking the books. Those people are cooking the books. It's hard to prove because they're the ones that are getting the calls and dealing with the crimes and going to the scenes, and they can choose what they want to report and what they don't. That's just the reality of it. So yes, they can say, yes, there's been a 13% decrease in crime and shootings and murders. And it's really not. And people live in this every day, constantly going to these funerals, constantly getting shot at, constantly got their family members getting hit from gunshots, are thinking like, it don't seem like it's slowed down at all. Matter of fact, it seems like it's an uptick. Like, and especially every single holiday. What? Like, who are you telling that to? The people who are actually going through this. Preliminary information shared by Chicago police indicate that there have been at least 24 shooting incidents since 5 p.m. on Friday. God dang. I'm going to read that again. Ohio has a little city called Little Chicago. What's the name of that city? You said New York last year didn't even report on the crime. I can see that. There have been at least 24 shooting incidents since 5 p.m. on Friday. Those killed by gunfire include a 21-year-old shot in the chest on Sunday, an 18-year-old shot in the armpit Saturday evening, and a 50-year-old shot in the chest on Friday. At least 12 people in a crowd on a Chicago street suffered gunshot wounds Friday evening after an SUV pulled up and 2 people inside started shooting. The 8 men and 4 women in the group range from ages 17 years old to 47 years old. They literally don't give a fuck. They're just shooting into crowds and they don't care. And at this point, and I continue to keep saying this, why would you ever have a crowd of people in Chicago at all? Maybe somebody can explain that to me. Why would you ever go to a party in Chicago? Why would you ever have a cookout in Chicago? Why would you ever have a block party in Chicago? Why would you have a Juneteenth in Chicago? For what? June to celebrate the fact that Black people were finally notified that they had their freedom, and this is the day that they found out, and then they found out that they are legally free. What fucking difference does it make if we are constantly killing other Black people at a rate of 47? What is this? How many people were shot? 40. You know, it takes 9 months to make a human being, at least, for them to try to grow up, and you could just cut that light off just like that. To the tune of 40 people at a time. What if everybody that got shot with a bullet that were injured, what if all of those people died? And you cut off the life and the light of that many people in a matter of a few seconds. Life don't matter to these damn fools. I don't understand. If you ask me, with a city that violent, there could never be anything to celebrate. I'm sorry, there would never be. Your hometown of Lake Providence, Louisiana was once called Little Chicago. Wow. Yeah, wow. There would never, if I lived in that area, first of all, I would have been got the fuck out of Chicago, to be real with you. But there would never be a day where my kids would be out playing on the swing, riding a bike, playing baseball or basketball outside. We wouldn't be outside doing a damn thing. Even at recess at school, my kids wouldn't be outside. Like, what is the point? And you think that you can live a normal life at a place like this when this type of thing happens all the time? And you know for sure, let's just say, if nothing else, just count your holidays. They killing people on Valentine's Day. They killing people on St. Patrick's Day. They killing people on Juneteenth. They killing people on 4th of July. They killing the people on 5th of July. They killing people on the 6th of July. Because that's actually the weekend. It actually, 4th of July, I think, falls on what, a Thursday, I think, this year? Shit. No, actually, it falls on a Saturday, actually. Any holiday, Thanksgiving, they getting shot. Pick a damn holiday. I don't know why it's not actually commonplace for kids to be walking around with bulletproof vests and helmets. Thank you, Reej. Like, that should be pretty normal, but you know what? It's illegal to have protection. God, it's just everything is just ass backwards out there. But anyway, so police said that another man suffered unknown injuries and refused medical treatment. That shooting happened on Juneteenth, a holiday that celebrates the end of slavery. Well, you know what? You know what? How bad actually was slavery? How bad was slavery? Can we talk about that for a minute? How bad was slavery? I said we got a few more people in here. Y'all hit that thumbs up if you're listening. Because I think it was less black people dying during slavery than they are in Chicago every holiday weekend. Which was safer? Was slavery safer? Or is living in Chicago nowadays safer? And going to public gatherings and going to, and had a nerve to have a fucking Juneteenth in Chicago? Which one is safer? Which one would you rather be living in? Would you rather get whipped to death or shot to death? I'm just asking because I just think it's quite crazy the fact that you wait until the blackest freaking holiday ever, and it is now and you wait until it's a national holiday. Juneteenth is actually a national holiday. And you say, you know what? Fuck that. I'm killing niggas. You can't wait for Juneteenth to pass by. Oh no, we can't. Oh no. People got to run and scatter and get shot, and I got to empty the clip, and I got the Draco and ba-da-da-da-da-da on the ops. Let me stop. Look, let me just read the damn article. It's supposed to celebrate the end of slavery in the U.S. Former President Barack Obama, former First Lady Michelle Obama were welcome The first visitors to his presidential center on the south side. Is that in Chicago? Oh my God. Ain't no fucking way. If that is not the biggest slap in the face, and y'all let them build that on the south side of Chicago, Lord have mercy. Our people are doomed. Oh, Lord. He said, violence has no place in our city, and those responsible will be held accountable. Well, I guess I'll believe it when I see it. Let me give you guys the fair usage. 17 USC 107. Man, let's get it. I want y'all to kind of just take a look at this. Look at this. Let me make this bigger on the screen.
It's hurtful because of this holiday and how many people lives were given for this holiday to exist. To see lives taken this way, to see this happening after such a wonderful day yesterday with the opening of the library and everything, and to have a night like this with just shooting and mayhem and tragedy.
Obviously, today we are still continuing our efforts as we will remain focused on building the safest, most affordable big city in America. Last night was another reminder of how much work we still have to do to the lives who have been impacted by gun violence. Know that my administration is working overtime, not only to hold people accountable to remove illegal guns off the streets of the city of Chicago, working with our superintendent, our CVI, and all of our partners coming together to make sure that nights like last night do not become a regular part of our pattern. With the progress that we are making, we are obviously still very much determined to protect the lives of this city. It's the top priority that I have. We're not going to tolerate the senseless acts of violence, and we're going to continue to ensure that we make the critical investments to not just hold people accountable, but to make sure that we're preventing these acts of violence from ever occurring.
Because violence is a moral issue. It's the life and death of our children, and in reality, it's the life and the death and the health of our communities. Violence has been down in Chicago, but that's not a norm. It's new. It's good news, but it's new news. Violence was up last month, and we look at this last weekend to see the violence that took place in this city. It is vulnerable, and so it must be addressed in a very continuous effort, which is why we need a gun violence office. There goes.
You need a, oh my God. I can't believe this. You know what? If y'all can continue to keep looking at people like this and people like this, and this man literally got up here and said, you know what we need? We need a gun violence office. I'm going to play it again so y'all can hear him say it again. God, oh boy. Y'all are doomed in Chicago, man.
Health of our communities. Violence has been down in Chicago, but that's not a norm. It's new. It's good news, but it's new news. Violence was up last month, and we look at this last weekend to see the violence that took place in this city. It is vulnerable, and so it must be addressed in a very continuous effort, which is why we need a gun violence office.
What? Anybody listening? Yeah, I want to stop it right there. Anybody who's listening, what did y'all hear? What does that sound like? Because I don't know if y'all think how I think, but you know what I heard when I heard that? That sounds like more bureaucrats making another office, another place for people to funnel money into, and people are getting paid to do absolutely fucking nothing that stops the actual violence from happening. That puts more people on payroll, and those people still continue to keep killing themselves. You need an office. Oh my God. And you know what? And there's not a single person that would take his mic and cut his mic off and tell him to get the fuck off the stage. You need an office? So what does the governor and the fucking mayor do? Is that not an office? What about the police chief? Is that not an office? But you don't want troops to come in and physically stop them. You need an office. God bless any idiots who believe this shit.
That goes from administration to administration, that oversees, that coordinates, that holds people accountable, and that it goes to good strategies throughout the city so we can have this violence not become just an exception, but a norm for Chicago.
You know what, guys? I'm gonna play that full video. I'm gonna let y'all see that on the replay. I'm gonna post that whole damn thing in there. I cannot believe that. That's just they might as well just have said, yeah. Thank you, Reese. That was exactly what I was thinking. You might as well tell them they need to go build some more community centers. Kids just need somewhere to go play basketball in and play football, and they stop killing each other. If only if they had a place that they could get a job. Well, you know what's funny about these damn criminals and thugs out there? Whenever you look at the videos and you see them, what do they normally have? Wads of cash. They usually got a lot of money and a lot of guns. So, what would they need to go get a job for if they got a lot of money and a lot of guns? God, no. But one thing they would never say, they need more fathers in the home and they need less mothers having single parent households. You won't hear them say that.
We begin with breaking news of a mass shooting on Chicago's South Side. We just learned 12 people were hurt. Asal Razai is live at U Chicago Medical Center as officers investigate. And Asal, what do we know about the victims?
Well, Megan, we just got an update from Chicago police, and they say an additional man has been hurt, refused medical treatment, unknown injuries at this time, but that brings the total of victims to 13. We know at least 12 of those victims have gunshot wounds. Take a look at the scene, Megan. We saw over 100 evidence markers there. This is near Wentworth and 95th Street. Police say the shooting happened just after 11 o'clock last night. So far, they say a red SUV markers have gunshot wounds. Take a look at the scene, Megan. We saw over.
Look at this. You know what they teach us in our gun safety courses and our gun training classes before they give us our gun license? Because I took one in Texas and I took one in Oklahoma before Oklahoma stopped requiring it. You are held accountable for every bullet, for every round that leaves your weapon. Look at all of those rounds that are flat out unaccounted for. Flat out unaccounted for. And here's what I want you guys to understand. For those listening. Because this only matters because it's only happening to black people and it's only happening to that group of people and nobody else. If they were to come to the police station and shoot it up like this, do y'all think there would be some action? If they went to the governor's mansion and shot it up like this, do y'all think there would be some action? Do y'all think if they went to the what do they call that? Is it the Gold Coast? I forget what that little fancy shopping area is in Chicago. Maybe y'all can name it for me. If they went over there and started shooting up Neiman Markets and Louis Vuitton and some of those other businesses and shot it up like this, do y'all think that there would be some action? Do y'all think if they went to the suburbs and started shooting at people who don't look like them in masses, do y'all think there would be any action? I know it would. I know they would stop it immediately. That's the cold part about it, is those particular people are so dumb that they don't even see the fact that they're allowing you to just literally just commit genocide on yourself, and they don't really care because it ain't happening to them, it ain't happening to their kids, it ain't happening in their neighborhoods, their communities. Like these people, some of these people will get out there and march with you. They'll make speeches like that dude said. They need officers. All they need is officers so we can coordinate with each other and coordinate the violence prevention.
There are 100 evidence markers there. This is near Wentworth and 95th Street. Police say this shooting happened just after 11 o'clock last night. So far, they say a red SUV pulled up alongside a large crowd. 2 people inside of that SUV started shooting at the crowd before driving off. We're told multiple victims between the age of 17 and 47 years old were shot at that scene. We know 2 of those victims, a woman and a man, were first discovered by Chicago police. They had multiple gunshot wounds. The 10 other victims, Megan, self-transported to the hospital. We did hear from Street Pastor Donovan Price at the scene. He said seeing a shooting like this on a holiday like Juneteenth is really a tragedy.
In my neighborhood, where my church is, it's between 7 and 11 people possibly shot. It's tragic. At least one of them is in critical condition. It should be celebrating, and fireworks should not turn into gunshots.
Does a disservice to the community and what Juneteenth is supposed to stand for.
And Megan, we know a number of the victims were brought here to city leaders and youth advocates saying the number of shooting victims from just this weekend alone is a good reminder of why organizations like peacekeepers and violence interrupters are so important and need continued support. A busy weekend for Chicago police and first responders processing scene after scene. The Juneteenth holiday coming to a violent end on the south side. We counted over 100 shell casings near 95th and Wentworth, where a drive-by shooting left 13 people injured just after 11 o'clock Friday night. The victims between 17 and 47 years old. Saturday night, around 10:15 on the west side, an 18-year-old boy died after being shot inside a home near Quincy and Cicero. Chicago police say they recovered a gun and arrested a 17-year-old boy in that case. A little over an hour later, in North Lawndale, officers were at the scene of a large gathering when they say gunshots rang out. 2 19-year-olds and an 18-year-old were shot. You can see what appears to be a bullet hole on the hood of a CPD squad car. The violence catching the attention of President Donald Trump, who's frequently said he wants to send in the National Guard to help with crime in the city. He took to social media early Sunday morning saying in part, quote, "Lots of killing going on in Chicago. Why isn't Governor Pritzker calling me for help? I could make Chicago a safe city." And while the rain kept some people away from this Juneteenth/Father's Day violence prevention awareness celebration in Chicago Heights today, Jamon Crawford with Peacekeepers says days like this are more important than ever.
It shows from the Englewood neighborhood to the Austin neighborhood, all the way back to the south suburbs. All this violence has been going on over the weekend. That's why it's so essential that you have organizations out here.
Recent research from Northwestern University found a 41% drop in violence when they looked at more than 200 hotspots where peacekeepers are stationed.
So our day-to-day is being in hotspots where violence most likely occur. We are violent interrupters. We are there to mediate a lot of situations.
It's mediation they're hoping will continue bringing numbers in violence down. I'm Masal Razai, CBS News Chicago.
SubX News on the spot reporting 6:30 a.m. June 20th, 2026. This is the scene of a mass shooting, 95th and Princeton. 12 people were shot, from teenagers to middle-aged people. This is the shooting scene. People were out here partying. It looks like the Juneteenth. We also found something here to show you guys. There's bullet casings left on scene by the Chicago Police Department, it looks like. You'll see, we counted about 8 or 9 of them. There's one right there. That's a bullet casing there. You see that there? That's one. There's a couple there. I don't know if that's blood or not, because it looks like that's somebody's shoes. Maybe that's the guy that was shooting there. There's 2 bullet casings right there. See the 2 bullet casings? I don't know if that's blood or is that a drink. You see those 2 bullet casings there. There's another bullet casing right there. Right. There's a couple more over here. Looks like they were having a fireworks over there in the middle of the street. And they were partying over here. And they were shot at from a drive-by shooting. There was a video from the crime chaser, Chi-Town crime chaser, said he counted 98 shell casings out on 95th Street. This is 95th Street, it's a main road here. So they were here having a barbecue, partying on a sidewalk. And one of the other things that you can see here, the bullet holes into these businesses here. See that there? There's bullet holes right in there. This is a youth center right here. There you go. Shot up there. See that there? Glass there. There's that. Glass and a bullet hole right there. Again, scene of a mass shooting. We just got the report 12 people were shot. Sounds like everybody survived. I hope everybody does. That's what we're here. It was teenagers up to middle-aged people shot. Sub-X News on the scene here. Mass shooting, 12 people shot. Be safe.
I wanted to play this real quick. I'm going to probably have to cut it out, but I wanted y'all to take a look at this. Just want to point out the hypocrisy, and then I'm going to end this. This is really funny. And by the way, I love Family Guy.
Mr. Brown, what exactly are you saying?
I'm saying that I, Cleveland Brown, a black man, shot Cleveland Brown Jr., another black man. Wait, where did everybody go? You want to make the media go away? Just mention black-on-black crime.
Mr. Brown, what exactly are you saying?
I'm saying that I, Cleveland Brown, a black man, shot Cleveland Brown Jr., another black man. Wait, where did everybody go? You want to make the media go away? Just mention black-on-black crime.
And is that not the truth? That's exactly the truth. Let me show you guys a couple of screenshots here, and then we're going to move on to our next story. I've already spent too much time on this. Let's take a look at this. Juneteenth weekend. So shout out to Benny Johnson. That's a verified account. Juneteenth weekend in Chicago. 40 people shot, 8 people dead. One mass shooting with 13 shot, including children. Everyone involved was black. No police were involved. No protest from Black Lives Matter. No outrage from Democratic politicians. Let me say that again. No outrage from no Democratic politicians. And no wall-to-wall media coverage. Totally silent. Totally silent. And I wanted y'all to remember, again, I only came across that story because I think somebody might have sent it to me. Otherwise, I wouldn't have known. Like, I guess I should have known, but I did not realize. I was like, oh, crap. Yeah, that sounds about right. Like, every year there's a bunch of crap going on in Chicago. Let me see. Do I have another screenshot here to show you? Here's another cool one. Shout out to Stephen A. Smith. And you know what? It's funny how when you tell the truth, you just look up. You look up and you see how many times that on the conservative side that we were right. Look at what he said. He said, we're going to fight and fight and fight over a young kid named Carmelo Anthony, who we talked about recently, that admitted that he killed somebody, and we hear crickets when 39, which is 40 people now, get shot and 8 people get killed in Chicago on Juneteenth. So if that is truly a quote from him, shout out to Stephen A. Smith. And this is actually a guy that was on their most wanted list that they actually caught. I could actually do a video on him, but maybe we'll do that as a separate video. But they were looking for him and they finally caught him. This is a message from Matt Walsh. And again, they continue to keep trying to prop people up like this dude here, this Mayor Brandon Johnson. But let me read this message from Matt Walsh. So shout out to Matt Walsh. Chicago's clown mayor Brandon Johnson declared a state of emergency. I want y'all to hear this. He declared, according to this, a state of emergency over the alleged epidemic of trans people being murdered in the city. Not LGTB, which would have been all inclusive. He specifically said, according to this, and it could be wrong, but according to what Matt Walsh is saying, he's saying over the epidemic of trans people being murdered, which is a very, very, very small group. LGTB is already a very small group, and then the trans is a very, 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 very small piece of that group. Let's take a little pop quiz. So if he declared a state of emergency, and this is why I want y'all to remember where the real agenda is, and this is why I don't fuck with the left, this is why I don't fuck with Democrats, this is why I don't mess with them at all, because of stuff like this. So if he's going to declare a state of emergency, can you guess how many trans people were murdered in the entire state of Illinois last year? If there's a state of emergency? Do you think it was 50? That might have been a state of emergency. Do you think it was 25? Maybe if it were 25 in a matter of 6 months, maybe that might be a state of emergency. No. Try 0. None. But there's an epidemic of trans people being murdered. But last year they had 0. But the fact that you got all of these YNs killing other YNs and killing other citizens and killing other black people that ain't trans, that ain't LGTB, that's not a state of emergency. That's not an epidemic. It's all we need to hear, and that tells you everything that you need to know. And they continue to keep voting for these fucking fools. Thank you guys so much for listening to my particular video. If it stays up, great. I know it's good. I don't know that I'm gonna be able to keep my monetization, but nonetheless, thank you guys so much for listening to the video. Just had to keep it real. Let me know what you think. Thank you.